It's time! And now, introducing your host, fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, by way of Boston, Massachusetts, presenting live,
the Bostonian versus the book. Follow the show on Twitter at Boston versus the book.
Here he is, Matt Perrault!
Enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show, enjoy the show.
What's up, boys and girls? How are you? Welcome into a Wednesday episode of the Bostonian versus the book. My name is Matt Perrault. We are live on our YouTube and X at Boston versus the book. It's the same handle for both. We are replayed on Sports Grid Television, late night, 1 a.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Pacific time. Audio podcasts, wherever you guys get your audio podcasts. That intro, never more appropriate than today's conversation and today's guest with Brendan Fitzgerald from the UFC, play-by-play broadcaster who does incredible work for the company and will be calling fights for Paramount Plus, which begins on Saturday. The new relationship between the UFC and Paramount Plus. It is a non-pay-per-view model, I guess. They say it's not pay-per-view, but you have to pay for the access to the subscription to get Paramount Plus. So technically you're paying to see the fights, but you're not paying nearly as much. $90 a year is essentially what you were paying almost for one fight. So you're not just getting, the pay-per-views, quote unquote, the numbered fights, the numbered events. You're getting everything else. You're getting the Dana White Contender Series, and you're getting all of the other fight nights that happen at the UFC Apex. So just a really big change, a big shift in what I think fight fans will get access to. And just looking at it from my own content creation perspective, I really feel like at the end of 2025, the interest in the UFC dropped off dramatically. And I think that had a lot to do with the fact that fight fans understood that they were no longer going to be asked to pay for the ESPN pay-per-view. And thus, folks just said, hey, I'll start watching it again in 26. So here, Saturday night, Paddy Pimblett fighting Justin Gaethje for the interim lightweight belt. Unfortunately, Nunes and Harrison, that fight has been scrapped. We'll get to that coming up a bit later on with the conversation with Brendan. But that kind of taking some of the air out of the event a little bit. But there are some, really big fights on this card. And the main event's a banger. Like, there's no debating here. This is a big-time fight between Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. And they're starting the fights earlier. You need to make a note of this. If you're a fight fan, okay, in particular, you guys on the East Coast, they're starting everything 1 hour early. So they're pushing the entire schedule up. So it's been a 7 p.m. Eastern time, kind of like a prelim start. Now it's 6. It was 10 p.m. Eastern time for the main card to start. Now it's not. Now it's 9. So they're putting everything an hour earlier. So look at, for me on the West Coast, this is tremendous. We're going to be home by 10 o'clock, no sweat now. Normally I was getting home around 10:30, 11. Now I'm getting home at about 10, maybe even 9:30, depending upon how the fight actually unfolds, how the card unfolds. So just take note, this is a change. It's going to look the same. The UFC produces their own events, so no changes in the look, or they're adding talent, not taking away talent. You're still getting John Anik to doing the fight call on Saturday night, and you're still getting Joe Rogan. I'm pretty confident Daniel Cormier is also on the call for Saturday, but you're getting that whole thing. Megan Levy is still there. All the things you're used to seeing for the UFC coming up on Saturday night. We will do the opening line. It's a different type of topic today because I want to get into this Duke story because I think it's really, we talk money, right? And there's nothing more relevant in college football right now than money. And the amount of money that's being tossed around in this Duke quarterback story really has me intrigued. I don't have like a biting opinion about it. And I can hear my old coaches in radio telling me, well, then why are you talking about this, Matt? If you don't have a very ripping opinion as to what's going on here. Why would you bring this up? Because I think from a betting perspective, I think from a handicapping perspective, I think from just knowing football and knowing what these teams are going to do, the wild, wild west nature of college football right now is unbelievable. And now we got court cases involving Duke and this quarterback who they are attempting to keep on campus. They want this kid to stay, but they're like, we're suing you. Like, really? He wants to go to Miami. Miami's giving him, and the package, if reported, if it's true, the package this kid's getting is unbelievable. And we need to get our arms around this in a hurry, because even the NFL is not doing the things that college football is doing right now. Like, even the NFL is like, whoa, that's too far for the way the contracts are being written. We'll go down the rabbit hole today. We'll take a look at the NBA and the NBA futures market. We have not done that in a while. We've not taken a look at basketball. We'll start back in here as we've got 3 football games left. So that means we start that transition back into hockey, back in the NBA, back into college basketball from college football. So we'll go today with the NBA. Later in the week, we'll do college basketball. Later in the week, we'll do some NHL stuff as well. So start getting ourselves back into the conversations from a futures market perspective. And before everybody pays attention again, good time to jump on the NBA, because after Sunday, we got 2 weeks between one game and I have one game left. So people are going to start to fiddle around with the futures and start looking at where everybody is, where the rankings are, where the ratings are, where the standings are. So we'll do that today as we jump down the rabbit hole presented by Rabbet. More on them here in just 1 second. We start the show like we always do with the opening line in Duke and a quarterback conversation. All right, this is a story that I have been following, and I've been wondering, when are we going to bring it up? Because Darian Mensah is the quarterback for Duke who is trying to transfer. Now, Mensah was a quarterback for Tulane. He transferred to Duke. Duke went 9-5. Duke won the ACC championship, won that game. Duke then went and won the Sun Bowl. Duke had a bunch of players who were going to enter the transfer portal, but because they thought their quarterback was staying, they announced they were staying at Duke. And so you had almost the entire time run out on the 2-week window for the transfer portal. And on the last day that a kid could declare that he was going to leave as the portal window was about to close, we saw this news break. And it's not great. Darian Mensah on X, I'm forever grateful for Duke and the coaching staff. Thank you, Duke family, for everything. This wasn't an easy decision, but after talking with my family, I believe it's in my best interest to enter the transfer portal. As Yahoo Sports and Sportico reporting, Mensah, who entered the transfer portal last Friday, Duke is claiming he breached a multi-year NIL contract that ends on December 31st of 2026. The school is seeking an injunction and a restraining order in Durham County Superior Court to effectively block the transfer of Mensah leaving Duke to go join another program. That program is Miami. It's Miami. Miami has offered to have him come in and replace Carson Beck, and the offer is gigantic. The court case was ruled this week. The judge refused to block the transfer. The judge is also a Duke basketball season ticket holder and recused himself from the court case after ruling that, yes, Mensah can transfer. He's allowed to leave. He can go, but I'm not going to be a part of this case anymore. He can go. He can be transferred. He can transfer. And there's nothing legally stopping Duke from... There's no legal barrier here. There's no law being broken for having this kid go from Duke to Miami. But they could make it so punitive. They could make it so expensive. They could hit Miami so hard, hit the kids so hard, that's what happened with the Washington case, is that Washington said their quarterback, if you leave, we're going to make your life so difficult. We're going to sue you for so much money that you're going to end up owing us money at the end of all of this. So you should probably stick around. And thus the kid said, okay, fine, I'm staying at Washington. This is wild. If you look at the offer, and I'm not saying this is 100% accurate, but this is the rumor as to what Darian Mensah got to go to Miami. They're going to buy out Duke. They're going to terminate the contract. According to On3, there is no buyout. There's no buyout here, okay? So it's just, I'm breaking the contract. Duke is claiming that they held his exclusive NIL rights until December 31st of 2026. So they are saying, hey, you can't do anything with him because we own the rights to anything, name, image, likeness with Darian Mensah. The buyout and then terminate the contract will come with a $10 million 1-year salary. $10 million for this kid to go Tulane, Duke, Miami. $10 million. But it gets better. According to this report, he has been promised country club housing. So not just, hey, an apartment. No, he's getting a country club type living arrangement. He's going to get an Adidas deal and a ad campaign featuring him with Adidas. And his sister, who is an Oregon soccer player, is also getting a full ride scholarship to go to Miami to play soccer. Plus, she equally is getting a name, image, and likeness deal. It's not just him, it's his family. They get to come along with this as well. I look, there is no rule against this. This is not illegal. This is not breaking any rules in college football that a football player can be given $10 million, amazing accommodations, an Adidas deal, an Adidas ad campaign, and your family can come along and we're going to give them a scholarship and we're going to give them an NIL deal as well. This is the world we're currently operating in. Like there are no rules. In Miami, I'll give them credit. I don't like the fact that Miami's doing this. I don't like the fact that Miami has now gone into a national championship game. They lost it, but they've been taken there after what Cam Ward did in becoming the number 1 pick in the draft. Carson Beck coming in and getting paid arguably, $4 to $6 million, somewhere in that range. Who knows exactly how much the kid's going to wind up getting, but $4 to $6 million for 1 year to quarterback Miami. Clearly worth it. Took him to a national championship game. And now you have the next wave, the next player, and the bar just keeps on going up and up and up. Even in the NFL, we have a playing field. We have a rule system in place as to how much you can offer and what you can offer, what is allowed. We have got to find a way quickly to set up college football and college basketball so people know what the rules are, like what you can offer and what you can't. Because billionaires who want to win, Mark Cuban, will do anything and everything to help their team win. Why? Because they have nothing else to do. They're billionaires, okay? This is fun. If the only thing that it costs is money, if the only issue is, hey, I got to scratch out a check to some kid to come in and we can win, and my alma mater can go do what Indiana just did and win a national championship, and all I got to do is pay? I mean, what's next? Harvard, MIT, like these guys that are worth billions of dollars just start funneling money into these programs because it's easy. It's just money. To them, it's air. It's just all around. They have more of it than anybody else, and nobody is stopping them. There's no morality clause. There's no question. They're held up and praised. No one's, when the Yankees used to spend money like it's going out of style and the Dodgers do it now, there's other fans that are like, oh, we hate you for doing that. That's just wrong, right? There's like an anger backlash. There's no backlash to the billionaires who are giving college athletes this money right now. None. There's nothing negative about what Mark Cuban's doing. There's nothing negative about any other billionaire as to who they're paying, what they're paying for, because they're helping their team win. The fan base is holding them up like messiahs. Like these people are gods. So this is what's wild to me about the whole thing as to how it's all going to go down. Now, I don't know who's in charge and who's going to limit it, but we got to put limits on it. Like somebody has got to put limits on this, and we need to do it like right now, because I'm not a I'm a UMass graduate. Okay. So I'm not like this, like diehard college football fan. I'm a diehard college football media member. I love covering the sport. I love watching the sport. I love betting the sport. But watching the current state of college football as somebody who's 48 years old, who covered Virginia and then went and covered Alabama and Auburn and then covered Nebraska and covered Iowa and covered Iowa State, I don't recognize the sport anymore. This isn't what you could say to me, and people have said this to me, that this was going on anyway. These kids were getting huge amounts of money behind people's backs under the table to transfer and whatnot. But nobody was getting $10 million a year. Nobody was getting just blatant, hey, your sister's going to come with, right? We're going to give her a scholarship. We're going to give her an NIL deal. She's going to transfer from Oregon. Like, that stuff wasn't going on. It wasn't this blatant. It happened, and there were all sorts of side deals and shady things, but there was an NCAA enforcement staff that if they found out and had credible evidence, you were then punished. There's nobody doing any of that. None. In closing, before we get to the UFC, Miami did get a little bit of a taste of their own medicine today. Malachi Tony is leaving. Their best wide receiver is into the portal, and he is rumored to go to Ohio State, South Florida, amazingly enough, or Florida. I think he winds up at Florida. That would be my guess. And then that kid becomes an absolute pariah to Hurricane fans because he could go to the rival to go in the conference, which is the same thing that happened here with Duke in Miami. There are no rules. There's no morals. There's no rules, and there's no respect for conferences. Like, it doesn't matter if you're in the same conference or not. It doesn't matter, if you're close in proximity or not. None of that matters anymore. How much money are you going to pay the kid? That's all that matters. So Duke gets screwed. They're stuck without their quarterback. All the wide receivers that stayed to play with the kid, sorry, you're stuck because this kid on the last day upped and left, and you thought you were going to be with this kid after an unbelievable year for Duke last season. And now Malachi Tony says, I'm gone. So whatever quarterback comes into play for Duke, if it's Darian Mensah or somebody else, comes in. This is Darian Mensah, sorry. Messiah would be what they think he's going to be. It's Mensah, sorry. I'm confusing the last names. But that is, to me, this is the breaking point. This is the dam breaking, in my opinion, with college football. Like, we got to fix this, and we got to fix this in a hurry because it is a mess. It is an absolute mess if this is going to wind up happening. Okay, UFC 324 happens Saturday night here in Las Vegas. I have not covered a UFC event in quite a while. We are back. Fights are back, and not only fights are back, but a brand new partner is back as well. He is Brendan Fitzgerald joining us here on the once again. What's up, my friend? How are you?
Can we just continue to be old men complaining about college football for a little while? My gosh, you hit the nail on the head. And like, as a Bostonian, it's like these days, I was talking about this with my wife the other night when we were watching the end of the game. Boston College has no hope, just like Duke has no hope. Like, once you hit this certain point, the coach is going to leave and the kids are going to leave. You go to Boston College and you have a great year. All the SEC schools are like, hey, turns out he's pretty good. We should have recruited him, but come play for us now. I hate it, man. I hate it. I hope they can find some sort of system that preserves programs instead of just Wild West of year-to-year stuff, man.
And billionaires deciding who gets to keep players and who gets to lose players. So
yeah.
It's a weird place. Can we start with your music for a second? Because I am such a fan of what you do musically, because I think it takes balls the size of planets to be a play-by-play broadcaster, to go and sing and play guitar, and not just do it for like some like bullshit thing of like, I'm just pulling around, but like really putting your heart into it and like doing it consistently. When did it start and where is it going?
So to make it as brief as possible in terms of a story, I have always loved music and always been somewhat musical. Like, I had a drum set when I was in junior high and high school, and that was like my main instrument was drums, but I've really understood music loosely without studying it and really loved a lot of different kinds of it. 2020, we get my 5-year-old at the time a piano instead of sending him to iPad kindergarten. I was like, you know what? We had a piano in my house. I want to play it now. I'm an adult. Like, I wish I played it. So I learned piano and picked it up pretty quick and loved it for those few years. And then last summer, I got obsessed with the guitar, and I've been able to strum some chords on a guitar for a while. But like in the summer, I was like, you know what? I love music this much. Look what I did with piano. Now I'm obsessed with guitar. I love country music. I'm going to start doing this. And it kind of was a combination of loving music and getting into that dad stage. There's a lot of dad cover bands out there where you get into your mid 40s and you're just like, you know what? I'm not putting this on the back burner anymore, because before I know it, I'm going to be 65 and I'm be like, I wish I had started back then. And the other arm was I completely quit social media early last year. And then my agent was just like, hey, you don't have to like do TikTok dances, but you got to be on there in some form. And so I decided if I'm going to be on my terms, and I'm going to do stuff that really lights me on fire. And so I was just like, you know what? I'm going to start putting my music out there, because you give less and less of a crap of what other people think of you. And sure enough, people kind of loved it right away. And I've had the idea for a couple of years, like, hey, Jimmy Fallon did parody songs on Saturday Night Live Weekend Update, and it worked. And Adam Sandler did it long before him, and it worked. And so I was just like, nobody's doing that for the UFC. This is a lane. This is a fun thing that I really have passion with. And so we'll see where it's going. I do know, like, I'm not stopping. And so at some point, I'm going to be on the road, and I'm going to do a show like at a bar on a UFC weekend. Like, it's going to be Thursday. We're going to be in Chicago, and I'm going to find some bar that will have me play music, and UFC fans will be able to come gather and do a meet and greet and have some fun. We'll see where it goes from there.
Yeah, I guarantee you fans would come out to see this and come out to be a part of it, because I think it is really interesting. Do you think you'll stay with the combat sports angle, or will you like branch out and go and do your own thing, like musically?
I'm going to keep the UFC connection like for now, because I'm still just starting, but who knows where it I'm loving like writing different songs and coming up with different stuff. So like last year, it was all just like, it was pretty much event recaps. You know, the events would happen on Saturday. Monday, I'd come out with like in song, here's what happened on Saturday night, which will continue. That's a fun thing. I've started writing songs just like about MMA, like UFC topics, like have a whole song that I haven't written, but it's about what the losing fighter feels, you know, kind of like this story told of like, you don't think about the losers, and you especially don't think about them going to the airport on a Sunday morning when their eyes are shut and they got stitches and whatever. And I was just, that's an interesting story to tell in song. And I've got another one called What Does Bruce Say? And it's like, you know, Bruce Buffer, we all know his catchphrase, but what does he say when it's time for other things in life? So I think there's a lot of different avenues where it could be fun.
It's funny because we just changed the intro for this show, and back in my radio days, I had Bruce do my whole radio intro. Yeah. And so now we've incorporated that into this show's intro. So it's time. Bruce's voice is heard at the start of every show now for BBB. Yeah. So
what does he say, Matt, when it's time for breakfast? And that's kind of the premise of that song that will see the light of day when it's ready.
That's tremendous. Well, best of luck with it. Just so I wanted to start with that, because if folks haven't checked you out on Instagram, they absolutely should. That. And I think it takes such courage, and you're great at it. And you're in an awesome part of the country now to do it, obviously, in Texas. So you're around a lot of very talented country musicians and whatnot. You are going to put out gear. Is this to put a bow on it? Are we doing t-shirts and hoodies? We doing gear?
I just thought I should have a t-shirt commemorating the album that I dropped. I thought, you know, we got a 6-week break for the UFC schedule. And I was just like, you know, I came up with all these songs that just lived on Instagram. I should record them. And these days it's miraculous what anybody can do with an internet connection, a simple microphone of an instrument, if you have it. And so I just recorded on GarageBand on this computer that I'm on right now, and this microphone that I'm on right now. I recorded the songs like in audio form. And I went to a website that like lets you license your music. And so now you can listen to my debut album, Octagon Songs, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music. You can ask Alexa to play it. It'll play it. It's on there. And so I said, well, I should at least commemorate the album with a t-shirt. So that'll probably come out in the next week or so.
Very, very cool. Well, you guys obviously are going through a big transitional period.
Yeah, big time.
Going from ESPN to Paramount Plus. As a broadcaster, as someone obviously who's worked with the company for a long period of time, How different is it going to be for you? And will the audience on Saturday night see anything different than what they've seen in years past?
Yeah, good question. It will look different. For me, the difference is new partners mean new executives are like in the fray, and you're in like kind of a new pipeline. But the unique part of the UFC is it covers itself. Like, I work for the UFC.
Right.
UFC salaried employee. Anybody that you see on TV, there might not be salaried employees, but they work for the UFC, at least during the event broadcast. So I don't think it'll be all that different from like an event to event standpoint for me for fight nights. I'm still going to be answering to the same boss, same set of bosses, really. And, Paramount is where it showed. The mic flag that I'm holding is going to be a Paramount one instead of the red E. So I don't think a lot's going to change from my perspective, other than the fact that, like, okay, maybe there's some new opportunities depending on what Paramount wants to build. Glenn Jacobs, who led the ESPN MMA team, he's at Paramount now. Paramount was like, we know nothing about the UFC. Glenn, come help us. So after like 29 years at ESPN, he saw this new opportunity, and he's going to build their UFC coverage. So not all that much is going to change. It'll depend on how much they want to put into it. Paramount is obviously a very different outlet than ESPN. ESPN is a sports coverage machine, and the biggest one at that. Paramount is an entertainment app for the most part with CBS Sports programming. So to be seen what they want to build. As far as what fans are going to see differently on Saturday nights, no pay-per-view is awesome, but that money's got to come from somewhere, and CBS paid a bunch for it. So there will be commercials during the main card. That's probably the biggest thing. They snuck some commercials in here and there,
right?
But they didn't put commercials on walks, and they didn't put commercials in between rounds during the fights. That will now change. I don't know how much. I haven't seen the format for this week, but UFC 324 watch on Saturday night, you're going to see Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong, and like, I don't know if you're getting their full walk. I don't know if we're going to sneak in a 30-second break. I don't know if we're going to do, I think, what they call a squeeze back, where it's like you see it small box while they have play a big ad real quick.
Yeah.
But commercials will be a part of the broadcast because there's no pay-per-view. That's a main thing. I'm trying to think if there's other stuff. I think what I've seen from Paramount early on in their marketing strategy is they are looking for stories and characters in the way that a TV show is great because of the story and the character. They are not leaning into the sporting competition element, at least for now, or maybe they will, but like, they're framing it as great stories. Every promo has "Are you not entertained?" from Russell Crowe from one of their properties, Gladiator.
Yeah.
And all of the big cinematic trailer that they brought out, which like this melds sports at the highest level with great entertainment, like Top Gun with UFC and all these things. So they're digging deep into storytelling and the cinematic nature of it. I think it's going to be very cool in terms of the concepts and the content and how we can build athletes, especially ones with like personalities and brands. Like I've seen some like sneak peeks of stuff, and it's like, it's really cool when you turn that on hyperdrive, which is different than Lerone Murphy's undefeated. Movsar Evloev's undefeated. They deserve the next title shot. It's like, yeah, but Diego Lopez, man, he's a cowboy from Mexico, bro. You can make Brazil, Mexico. But like, you can make a trailer out of that, in a different way. So that's my advice to fighters. Like, you don't have to be cringe, but stand for something.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think that will resonate with certain fighters? Will they'll pick up on that? Because clearly, we'll talk about Paddy Pimblett in a second in his fight, but clearly Paddy picked up the mantle from Conor, and how Conor talked, and then now Paddy has become a very big part of the UFC in terms of when they have press conferences. You expect Paddy Pimblett to be somewhat of a personality and grab the mic and say a lot of things. Is that going to be picked up upon? Do you think that fighters will recognize that other fighters who do talk get more opportunities because Paramount is looking to highlight it?
I mean, I think Paramount's going to highlight it, but that's not anything new, really. Like, look at Colby Covington was going to get cut. He goes full WWE heel, and he's in a title fight within a year, if not sooner than that. So that's always existed in combat sports, especially. You can't really exist that way in traditional team sports. Doesn't work that way. But in combat sports, that has already existed. Paddy is very naturally good at that, and so his rise just happened. I think fighters know it's just a choice that they make. Like, there are so many fighters that are just want to be authentic and put their head down and go to work and take the long road and whatever. And they don't maybe want to love taking the long road, but like that, if you're going to do it that way, that's the choice you're making. Alexander Volkanovski is a huge star now. People don't realize how long it took him to become a big star. He was a champion and defending his belt several times before anybody really started to care about him in terms of like a mass appeal. Now he's one of the biggest stars out there, but he's a big star because he's just so good. He's a humble, he's a down-to-earth guy. Then when he was a champion, he started cooking on his YouTube channel and like farming and like showing his personality a bit more. Now he's this big star. But like he could have leapt the line quicker if he put himself out there more in a different way. So fighters know it. It's just a matter of if they're going to do it or not. I'll give you a perfect example of what to watch this Saturday. There's a guy named Josh Hokett. He's a heavyweight. Fresno State All-American wrestler. Fresno State played football, cup of coffee, I think, with the practice squad for the San Francisco 49ers as a fullback. And now he's a fighter. He's young in his career. He speaks like an athlete during the week. He's not like this crazy thing. But when he's won the fight, he's put on like Stars and Stripes do-rag, sunglasses on, and he cuts a promo. He writes a rhyme. He's like the boy joy with all the he comes up with a rhyme, and he's fighting on Saturday. And like if he wins and he cuts a promo, he's going to have a poem, he's going to have a call out, and Paramount is going to love that. This guy, this is his second UFC fight. I'm very interested. If he wins and does that, what's he do next? How fast does he get ranked opponents and climb the rankings and get a shot? That the heavyweight that says, hey, I just want what's next. Just working hard. You forget about him as soon as he leaves the octagon, as soon as you go to commercial, if not before then. So Josh Hokett this Saturday is like, watch what he does. That's what to do.
Wow. He's fighting Denzel Freeman. He's fighting, who is
he knocked out his previous opponent in the first round at the UFC Apex in front of nobody in terms of a crowd. Now they're putting him on 324 to start at Paramount. Now he's on the prelims, but everybody wants to be on this card. It's a huge card.
Average fight time of 3:31. So he's a real heavyweight here in terms of don't blink. First round KO could be coming on that card.
That's that's the thing to follow. That's not wins and losses.
Okay, so let's talk about the main event, because we'll get to the co-main that is not going to happen. But we've got Paddy Pimblett against Justin Gaethje. Pimlett's a pretty good favorite here, minus 234 up against Gaethje. Interim lightweight belt fight here. Gaethje, I mean, talking about speaking your way into a fight. I mean, Gaethje was basically saying either I get a title fight or I'm done. And so he gets a title fight now to see what may happen with the interim lightweight belt. But he's a big dog. Do you see a path to victory for Justin Gaethje in this fight?
Absolutely. Definitely. 1,000%. Gaethje is always in amazing fights. Yes, he got knocked out by Max Holloway. I feel like he came back strong. I can't remember who he won. I can't exactly remember what Gaethje did last. But listen, he's an all-action fighter. He's a huge puncher. He's got next-level power. He's not going to be intimidated by the moment. He's not going to be intimidated by Paddy. And he's letting it all go, as he does every time. That's why we love watching him fight so much. He's probably my favorite pure fighter. Like, I have a relationship with a lot of UFC fighters. I don't really know Justin Gaethje that well. Probably my favorite fighter to watch. I mean, you can't have a different guy. I always describe to non-UFC fans, Justin Gaethje is not a household name, but he damn should be. I mean, he's more exciting fighter than Conor McGregor was. It's unbelievable. The Gaethje's highlight reel, win and lose. It's crazy.
I think what fans have talked about, the Fiziev fight that went to the distance, it went to the card. Right, that was his last fight that he won. And
I thought it was Fiziev, which I think which he beat twice, I think. But he did. So, right. And it was a fight of the night again. He's always in the fight of the night. If not, he gets the performance of the night. He is closer to the end of his career. That's why he's saying, if I don't win, I'll retire. And if I didn't get the title shot, I'll retire, because I don't want to keep putting my body through this. I've kind of done what I can do. He's definitely got a chance. Paddy's earned what he's earned. Paddy's undefeated in the UFC. But, I mean, we'll see what happens. That line's coming down, by the way. I think it was minus 280. So, people are going to come in on Gaethje. He's always got a big chance with the power that he has.
I know it was a long time ago in 2022, but I feel like the Oliveira fight might be kind of the blueprint for what may happen, because Oliveira did choke out Gaethje, and I just wonder, can Justin keep himself on the feet? Like, it just feels like if this thing goes to the mat, this goes to the ground, I don't think it lasts very long. Is that fair?
Yeah, well, Patty is the grappler. He can throw some hands. He's not afraid to be in a back and forth fight, but you don't want to do that against Justin Gaethje, especially with the skill set that he has. So Patty is the grappler. If he can get him down, I think that's what people are thinking. I think Patty's a lot bigger than people really like. Not only the blow-ups between fights, but he just has like a bigger frame for a lightweight that like helps him. Like he can bully guys, which you have the Beatles haircut from Liverpool. You don't think you should get bullied by that guy, but like he can bully guys if he gets them into his wheelhouse. I think the other thing with Gaethje is like when he fought Max was faster than him for all 5 rounds. And so I think people are like, is his age catching up to him? But Fiziev has the speed that Max has, and Gaethje got back in there and he got the win and he got the job done. So you never know. Like, was Gaethje caught on a bad night against Max and it just so happened to be at UFC 300 for the BMF title? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. I give Gaethje a shot. All that plus money, I can't bet, don't bet. But like, I think the favorite is warranted. I think Gaethje is a live underdog for sure. And yeah, the game plan is for Patty to get it to the ground and stay out of danger.
The co-main that we thought we were going to see was Amanda Nunes against Kayla Harrison. Unfortunately, a neck injury for Kayla is going to keep her out for 6 months. There's a lot of speculation about whether that fight ever happens now, just given the age of the fighters and Amanda deciding to come back for this one opponent. She's not going to fight anybody else except Harrison. Do you think that fight happens at some point in 26?
If Kayla has no complications in her recovery, which might be asking a lot. I don't know the extent of her neck injury. I just saw the headline that said if she didn't have the surgery, she might have been paralyzed.
Right.
So it's obviously pretty serious. It looked pretty serious when she made her video. If she comes back, that fight's going to happen. There's too much noise surrounding it. There's too much hype. It's in a division where it's like, name the other fighter in that division. Most people can. Poor Norma Dumont has probably earned herself a title shot at this point from Brazil, but Amanda's not coming back to fight her. And Kayla, you know, has a recent champion and obviously decorated athlete, but her, you know, her reign, like she could have reigned for a long time. If she beat Amanda, Amanda probably doesn't fight again. And then Kayla can just, you know,
maul, do
what Amanda did, right? Just like be a heavy favorite against the rest of the division, but Kayla can sell fights. So you put her in against anybody who's willing. So I hope the fight happens. You know, 6 months, the White House is in June. It's the perfect fight to put on that card. I thought they might have held it for the White House initially, considering like Amanda coming back, and do they just go, hey, you know what? American champion Kayla, former Olympic gold medalist, and
makes
perfect
sense.
White House. Yeah. So I don't know if she's going to be ready by then, but that's my hope, is that she's going to be ready by then. But that's probably asking a lot. Neck surgery, 6 months, and the timetable. Hope it happens. I think I'm optimistic that it will happen.
Hopefully. I mean, everyone wants that fight to happen. Yeah. And so what it does is it elevates a lot of the other fights on this card, that it bumps everybody up.
Right.
You mentioned personalities. Well, Sean O'Malley had that cornered for about 4 years in the UFC, where he was the biggest personality, whether it be on social media, whether it be his live streams, you know, pulling out joints at different times, smoking in different places. Like he was the hair, he was the personality. Now he's fighting Song Yadong. What do you make of this fight, and what do you make of the future for Sean O'Malley in this division?
Sean O'Malley needs to win. If he loses, the shine's going to be off, and he has enough business ventures where he doesn't need to keep fighting, or he doesn't need to stay in the UFC for the money or being a big star. And I think he's like been pretty candid, like on his own podcast. He's like, man, I'm falling off hard. I'm not even the co-main event here. Now it turns out he is the co-main event. But I think he blatantly said, like, if I lose to Song, like, maybe I'll have another couple of fights, but like this could be the end of the Sugar era. And whenever he decides to retire from the UFC, there is so much money in celebrity, you know, Jake Paul boxing circuits for Sean O'Malley that he'll be just fine. Does he want to put his body through the ringer for what it takes to fight in the UFC? Because that's the thing. You can be a big star. You can have all the side deals and all the fun stuff, but like those fights are real, and it's not just boxing. It's a lot of different stuff. So if he loses to Song, he's not going to retire, but he's not in my opinion, not long. I don't think he's going to be your 36-year-old guy that's like, I want to have 30 UFC fights. I want to get the belt back. He's not going to be Michael Johnson. He's not going to be Jim Miller. He's not just like going to keep going and keep going and keep chasing it. He has too many other things going on that pays him a lot of money, and he'll be a big personality. He can always go to the UFC. He's going to be that type of guy that like Dana will always have. Dana will always go on his podcast like Cowboy Cerrone. Like he's going to be like, thanks for what you did for the UFC if you're not still fighting. And I'm happy for you that you made a lot of money and that you're doing well. But if he does beat Song, Petr Yan is the champ. O'Malley has a win over Petr Yan. So we're talking about like two totally different paths based on the results of this fight. It's unbelievable. Like if he loses to Song, the matchmaking gets tougher. He's always going to be a big drop. Fighters are always going to want to fight him because he'll still have name value and they can launch their careers off of him. But I don't think he's just going to fight out the string for the next like 5 years. I think he might fight for another like 2 years if he loses.
Interesting. Before we let you go, I want to know what's next for you. I mean, you're the guy that travels all over the globe. I mean, your passport must be amazing to look at. So what does 2026 look like for you? What's the future calls for you and for you with Paramount Plus? What's next?
So I will host the desk coverage for the next numbered event. I'm not in Las Vegas this week for 324, 325. They're going down to Sydney. We're doing our desk coverage from Las Vegas.
Oh, cool.
So I'll be in studio at the Meta Apex, Apex, not the UFC Apex anymore. So we're doing our coverage from there. So that'll be fun. Robert Whitaker is going to fly from Sydney up to Las Vegas to join our desk crew to do the coverage for that event
in Las Vegas, in Sydney.
I'm just like, what a tragedy, Rob, but it's going to be great. He is so much fun, by the way. Robert Whitaker, one of the best hangs in the UFC. Unbelievable guy. So I'll do that. We got an event at the Apex the next week. I'll be on play-by-play for that. Mexico City, end of February. Another Vegas date in March. Seattle in March. And then, there's some other rumored cities as we get into the spring.
Okay, hold on.
I don't know Mexico City.
I have to ask you because the last time you went there.
Oh, buddy. How do you know that story?
Because it happened on the air.
No. So I have two infamous Mexico City stories.
You too? Oh,
yeah. So the under the table was 2019. That's ancient news now, right? So under the table, and as we get closer to Mexico City, I'm going to make some content based on that because it's too good of a story to not revisit. I also wrote a song about going under the table in Mexico City that I'm going to release in February too. But in 2023, when I went there, it was my Michael Jordan flu game.
Yeah, no, that's I don't know about the 2019 story. I don't know. I only know the 23. I only know the 2023 story.
Okay, yeah, Mike. The flu game. I was up all night throwing up and all the other stuff, norovirus.
Yep.
And went to the arena early before the show. I mean, up until mid-afternoon, I didn't even know if I was going to be able to do it. I could not even sit up in bed. It was like awful.
I remember seeing you. Yeah. I saw you at drop off at the school that our kids used to go to.
Yeah.
I remember saying like, "Were you okay?" You're like, "No, I was not okay."
Oh my God, it was so bad. I never, and a couple IVs at the arena from the medical staff before going on air, and I was able to I was good. I was able to rally, but that was tough. In 2019, the main event got canceled 15 seconds in due to an eye poke. And so fans started throwing everything.
I remember that.
And then I would just go, I'm just going to get under the table here. I sat under the table so I wasn't getting bottles from behind. And that became such a big moment because Bisping was standing up shadow boxing 18,000 people throwing stuff at him. And I just sat under the table and I was still on the air with my headset on, looking up at the screen in the corner so I could, describe the action. So Mexico City, here we come, take 3.
Let's go. Well, I hope everything goes well. Listen, thank you for the time. I want to do this again at some point in the near future. I love your work. Congrats on the music. I'm going to go check it out after the show is over. I know you're not working this weekend, but have fun next weekend. We'll talk to you down the line. All right.
Thanks, Matt. Always appreciate coming on with you. Cheers.
The one and only Brendan Fitzgerald joining us here from the UFC on the Bostonian versus the Book. Big UFC 324 card happening on Paramount Plus coming up here this weekend. I'm covering it. I haven't gone and covered a UFC event in a while. Press conference will be tomorrow. And then we've got obviously the main event on Saturday. You have the weigh-ins, the ceremonial weigh-ins, everything else happening here in Las Vegas for UFC. And look, this is going to be, I think folks are going to get back into this. I really do. I think the betting is going to be really, really healthy on Saturday night. for this. I think people are going to wake up. I think gamblers are going to wake up and go, okay, I got a Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje fight. I do think, as Brendan talked about, the numbers for Gaethje, it's starting to come down. It's now +1 down 95 on the take back for Gaethje. You've got O'Malley as being a 2-1 favorite over Song Yadong, but with the knockout power of Yadong, you got to think that there could be a potential loss there for Sean O'Malley in that +166 price. Both these fights are set at a total of 2.5 rounds, which, if you look at just the numbers, you would think the Gaethje and Pimblett fight is going to go over that. But look at the juice. The juice is on the under. On the flip side, you might think that O'Malley could get to Yadong quickly and knock him out, potentially head kick or something of the like. Nope. Over 2.5 rounds is set at -245. It's heavily juiced to the over for that fight. So overall, I mean, the card is good. I mean, it was going to be great. Let's just be clear. The card was, with the Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes fight, the card was going to be great. The card's good. Losing that fight, it's impossible not to sit there and say that it did lose some of the steam. But you've got, Nurmagomedov against Figueiredo in a bantamweight fight is really interesting. You have Natalia Silva up against Rose Namajunas, which I think is a really good fight. The heavyweight fight between Cortez Acosta and Derek Lewis could be really a banger. And then I thought that was a great piece there that Brendan gave us about the Josh Hotzik kid against Denzel Freeman, that, he's got 2 wins under his belt and the guy likes to do raps after he wins. So personality, I'm not saying that that's going to be, that's a guaranteed W, but if you're putting together parlays, it sounds like the UFC might be giving him a chance to shine. And I don't know much about this Denzel Freeman kid. He is 7-1 professionally. He's 6'1", 265 pounds. He's not small. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage over Hokit, so that's a big deal. In terms of strikes landed per minute, Freeman's 3.27. Hokit is 5.1, so a lot more active from as a heavyweight perspective. Strikes absorbed per minute is 2.07 for Freeman versus 1.4 per 15 minutes, 0 for Freeman. So he's got 1 win in the UFC. But if we're talking about where we're looking at here, I got to look at the price. I haven't looked at the price of that, but we'll stare at the price for that. But that's a really interesting situation for sure there. So UFC 324, we'll have it fully covered for you guys. Full recap on Monday, but at Sports Talk Matt, I will be covering it a ton coming up here for us today. Let's go jump down the rabbit hole. All right, we're jumping down the rabbit hole with our friends at Rabbet. Rabbet, you guys did a great job yesterday of jumping in. They got a really nice response from them appearing on the show on Monday, and then yesterday jumping in. New users can get 5 free Rabbet cash when they sign up at Rabbet using the code RABBET5, RABBET 5. This is a way of betting against your friends. This is a way of taking the house edge off of the table. There's been a lot of conversations over the last couple of years about what the future of sports betting might be. Well, traditional sports books set lines, so they always win. There at Rabbet, there is no house. The average vig for a house charges 10%. They give that percentage back to you guys in terms of EV on every single play. You risk less and you can win more with Rabbet. Everything about sports in the past 100 years has changed, but not in the industry of sports gambling. That is why they have decided to go ahead and jump in on this. If you have a social group, a group chat, you guys like to talk, Rabbet can take care of that. Users create all the offers on Rabbet. This is not something that there is a bookmaker or an odds maker. It has built-in sweepstake model, which allows you guys to engage with users so much more. Rabbet is the first true peer-to-peer sports picking marketplace. They like to think of themselves as the Venmo for your sports takes. Go and check it out. Use that code RABBET5 for 5 free Rabbet cash when you sign up at Google Play and Apple Store locations or downloads that you have available. All right, let's talk about the NBA. we haven't done much with this with NBA futures, and I think it's an interesting time because before everybody gets off of the NFL, which is coming very soon, everyone's going to be going, all right, here we go. NFL football is over. Now what? Look at the NBA. Let's go ahead and jump in and take a look at where we are with the NBA standings. Okay, so first, let's do the East, and then we'll do the West. I think the biggest surprise is the Pistons are 31-10. They're 17-4. They just beat the Celtics. They're 3-1 against Boston straight up this year. That might factor in later. Boston at 26-16, equally a surprise. I mean, the fact that Boston has a 1.5 game lead on the New York Knicks, who just now have lost 9 of their last 11 basketball games. And the Knicks just had a players only meeting yesterday about what's happening in New York. Nick, this was the most hyped Knicks season of, I don't know, last 20 years. And things are not going well in New York at all. Even though they are only 25-18, they did not think they'd be 7 games behind the Pistons. They thought they'd be ruling the East. They're not. Boston has assets to trade at the deadline. And oh yeah, by the way, Jason Tatum will be back at some point in the future. When I've long said Easter, that Jason Tatum would play before Easter. If that happens, Boston has a real shot of not just catching the Pistons, but being a formidable out in the NBA playoffs. The West, OKC has not had the year we thought they were going to. Now, they're 36-8. That's pretty impressive, okay? But it's not been nearly as dominant as we thought. The Spurs have beaten them a couple of times. They're 30-14. The Nuggets just blew a 16-point lead last night to the Lakers, and they, without Jokic, could not take care of business at home. Lakers win. Lakers are better than people think. They're 26-16. The Rockets win last night. That game literally broke me, beating the Spurs. I had to leave my house. I was so mad about that game last night. I was on the Spurs at plus 3.5. They had to lead the entire game. They led by 10 at the break, and they were leading all the way until 3 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, and then they choked the game away. Rockets win. Rockets cover. It was brutal. The West is pretty wide open. I mean, the Clippers are one of the hottest teams in basketball, and the Clippers are just the 10 seed at the moment there for the West. So there's a lot of, I think, value right now in the market, and it's not just at the top of the odds boards from our friends at BetCris Arizona. OKC is even money. Denver, 6-1, 11-1 the Spurs, 13-1 the Rockets. The Pistons and the Celtics are at 15-1. The Knicks are at 15-1. Cavs 22-1. Lakers at 30-1, and then it goes up from there. So I think you can shop around. I think you can look at different prices, but I think in terms of the championship, like, it's hard to look at the standings. It's hard to kind of stare at the standings and say, okay, a champion is going to come from, the 5, 6, 7 seed, right? Rockets, Lakers, Suns. Do you think they win the championship? Probably not. Raptors, Sixers, Magic? Not really. I have a future wager on the Celtics to win more than 41.5 games. That's going to cash. I have a future wager on the Magic to win, I think it's 50 games. I got to see that number. I forget. But they were really struggling. The Magic have played much better over the last couple of weeks. As they're getting healthier, they're starting to play better basketball. So that's a good sign. The Cavaliers, the Heat, the Bulls, the Hawks. I mean, Trae Young gets traded. The Hawks are not a very good basketball team. Clearly, the Indiana Pacers are so banged up. They would be on this list after what happened last year, but they are not. But in the East is far more wide open. And I still think the Magic, when healthy, have a chance to win the East. I think the best teams when we get to the postseason, I think it's the Pistons, Celtics, Knicks, and Magic. And those 4 teams are going to be battling it out. I can't trust the 76ers because I don't know if Joel Embiid's actually going to be healthy. Like, I don't know if Joel Embiid actually is going to be available to play. So I don't think you can back the 76ers for that reason. But clearly their young talent has played extremely well. They've hit on the draft. Philly has been a decent story so far in the East. I just think when you're looking at it from a futures wager perspective, I think you can take some shots here. And I think you can take some 30-1s, some 40-1s. Yes, 100%. The Celtics are incredibly enticing at 15-1. If you think Jason Tatum is coming back, okay, with the way Jaylen Brown's playing, let's just go to the game 2 nights ago against Detroit. Boston is down by 1. They advance the basketball, take timeout, they advance the basketball. The shot that was taken by Jaylen Brown, and I'm not saying that Jaylen Brown is not going to be able to hit game-winning shots for the rest of the season. He is. But if you put Jason Tatum on the floor in that moment, he's either taking the shot or he's going to distract from everyone playing defense on the floor. You can't key in on Jaylen Brown. Like, everybody in the building knew who was going to take that shot for the Boston Celtics. It was going to be Jaylen Brown. Well, when you put Tatum on the floor, it changes everything. And so now you got to defend against both guys. And that's why Boston is so difficult to face. I would love if the Bam Adebayo rumor is true. I don't know if it's true. It's been tossed around on message boards, and who knows if there's any real validity to the idea that the Heat might be looking to trade Bam, in particular to Boston, because the Heat and the Celtics hate each other. So that would be stunning. But that type of trade to bring in somebody to replace Al Horford and the Al Horford role, no offense to Luka Garza. Okay, I know Luka Garza stepped up and has done a good job for Boston, but they need a proven vet, a guy who they can trust to hit big shots and play defense and protect the rim. That's not Luka Garza. Bam would be enormous. Like, Boston just misses what Kristaps Porzingis gave this team over the last 2 seasons. Rim protection. So yes, 100% Celtics is there. Okay? Like 100%. Simon's been great. I'm not, no, he's been phenomenal, Anthony. You're right. I mean, he's been a great addition so far, but let's see. Okay, let's see. So I'm just saying, if you do like the Celtics, if you do think they're going to get Tatum back, I think 15-1 or higher, somewhere in that range, is a very good look. I also think it's a decent look, and I know you're going to roll your eyes at me on this, but like, the Lakers at 30-1 is not a horrible look. It is LeBron in the playoffs. The Rockets and the Spurs at 13-1 and 11-1. I don't mind that either. I mean, Wembanyama in a 7-game series is going to be a problem, and we know the Spurs have already beaten the Thunder. So, like, if we're taking the Spurs and the Thunder, like, only one of those teams between the Thunder, Nuggets, Spurs, and Rockets can make the postseason. Can make the finals, rather, the NBA Finals. That's what worries me about the West when it comes to buying tickets, and why I wouldn't be overly aggressive with 10-1 and 13-1, because there's just not enough value there from a hedging perspective. I want like 15, 20, 30-1 type tickets on this. And the top 4 teams in the odds market at the moment are all Western Conference teams. So because we know only one of those teams can make it out, I don't think there's a lot of value in taking a future shot yet on the West. I think there's a ton of value on taking shots in the East, however. I think for the Eastern Conference, I think there's a ton of value with the Magic, a ton of value with the Celtics, a ton of value even with the Pistons. I mean, Detroit's going to be a problem in the playoffs. Like, this Pistons team, no one's believing in them yet. And we've seen this like Indiana last year. Nobody bought what they were doing in the regular season. No one thought Indiana, it was like, whatever. Once we get to the postseason, the Pacers aren't going to be anything. And then what happened? They went all the way to the finals. So they beat the Knicks. Like, I think that could be, the Pistons could be this year's Indiana. And I'm not really looking, I don't think 13 or 14, 15-1 is great value on Detroit at the moment. But I think as we go and that number starts to either climb or we start to get some more clarity, I don't mind taking some shots with the Pistons and trying to find, where we are on this. Yeah, lights out. I'm with you. Spurs to win the West is malpractice. I think if you're going to bet anybody, that's who I would bet on. I would be with you because, like I said, we know they can beat OKC. We know that's possible. We know that Wembanyama is ridiculous, right? I mean, and he's got Castle and he's got help. I mean, like, that Spurs team, when I watch the Spurs play, whenever I'm watching teams I like from the West, I always imagine, like, what would happen if Boston played the Spurs? Who in the hell is guarding Wembanyama? Like, when I watch that, I'm like, that's why I want Boston to get somewhat of a rim protector. Like, they don't need a 7-footer, but they need someone who's 6'11" who can play defense, because they got to at least make it difficult on Wembanyama. You can't let him just walk down the lane and just go ahead and jump and dunk on anyone he wants. Like, he's not a human. He's an alien. And so you have to find different ways. And I would love to see Joe Mazzulla's way of guarding him. But that is the like Spurs. Yes, I would say I'm not opposed to jumping in on the Spurs at all. I just wish there was a little bit better value. This is at BetCris Arizona at 11-1. That's not great. Bet the Spurs to win the West is cut in half. So it's 6 or 7-1. I don't mind that. But I mean, again, if you told me that the champion's coming out of the West, I have a hard time arguing that you're wrong. Like, it's Boston or that's it. I don't trust the Knicks, not yet with the Pistons, and no way with the Sixers. So, like, the champion coming out of the West, that feels likely to me. One of those top 4 teams being the NBA champ, that feels likely to me. We'll see how it all plays out. If you guys are with us live, don't move. Making some bets coming up here into bonus time. If you're on Sports Grid on the replay, thank you for being here. We appreciate it. We're back tomorrow for a BetCris Arizona Thursday. Where in the world will Adam Bjorn be? I actually don't know. So tomorrow we'll find out where Adam is. Tomorrow we'll jump in with that. I know on a week from tomorrow, I know where he'll be. He'll be in San Francisco with me. Or no, sorry, 2 weeks from tomorrow. Sorry, 2 weeks. I'm skipping ahead. 2 weeks from tomorrow, he'll be in San Francisco with me for the Super Bowl. But bonus time for you guys who are live starts right now. One quick thing before we get to just the picks. I forgot to do this at the top of the show, but I'll do it tomorrow. Corbin has developed a playoff Super Bowl hat that we're going to debut on Radio Row coming up. I am super excited about that hat. You can shop it right now for us on Radio Row. If you're looking for some playoff gear, if you're looking for some championship gear, go to thebvbshow.com, thebvbshow.com, and you can check it out. Corbin has designed a playoff edition. We're going to do more of this as we go. We'll get to a hockey, we'll get to a baseball, we'll get to a basketball. As the playoffs begin, we're going to start doing different models for BVB hats with Corbin designing them. So that is the Super Bowl playoff championship edition, whatever you want to call it, version of BVB that's available right now on the store by going to thebvbshow.com for you to go ahead and take a look at that. I love that hat. I mean, that is tight. That is a nice hat, and I'm excited to wear it coming up on Radio Row here with Corbin. Let's make some plays. Really only like one for college basketball tonight. All right, time for Just the Picks. It's being brought to you by the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet. If you guys are looking for NBA plays tonight from a prop bet perspective, you can go and download the Betting Pros app to see the Prop Bet Cheat Sheet or log on to bettingpros.com/props. So this has been like, I mentioned what happened last night. I had to go out last night. So you guys know our friend Steve from Malin Cigars and Whiskey. He's in town for SHOT Show. He's in town for a big convention. And so he has a tent. He's one of the presenting sponsors for SHOT Show here in Vegas. And so it's a big convention. And so I wasn't going to go out last night. And I don't go out on Tuesday nights very often. That's a rarity for me. But I watched the Spurs game. And it's been sort of like this meandering 2 or 3 months with betting. And it's starting. I do a pretty good job of not allowing it to affect my mood, because I preach bankroll management and it's not going to change my life in any form or fashion. But at some point, you just start to get frustrated. And I bet I took the points with UCF and Iowa State. And my first read was to lay it with Iowa State. But the line move scared me, because when you're cold, you stop believing in your own handicapping. And when the number went from 14.5 to 13.5, I thought, well, the pro money is coming in on UCF. I went and listened to TJ Otzelberger in his press conference talk about Johnny Dawkins' team, and he made some really interesting points. TJ is a guy I know personally, and I know when he's talking in the media, TJ means what he says. And so I was like, okay. UCF, who had beaten Kansas at home, I thought, okay, they're going to be able to keep this game relatively close. Iowa State, off of back-to-back losses on the road, they come back home to Hilton and they blow the living daylights out of Central Florida, win the game by 30, like cover going away. So I'm like, all right, that's my bad bet of the night. Fine. Here comes the Spurs. They lead by 10 at the break against the Rockets. They're leading after 3. They're leading by 4 I have 3.5, mind you. They're leading by 4 with about 4 minutes to play in the game. And then it just turns into an absolute disaster. Just a complete and total melt. Just a melt. And so I'm at my house and I'm just like, I'm looking at the hockey score. That was the other game I had bet. I had a prop bet later on in that Lakers game against the Nuggets. And so I'm 0-2 on the night. And I'm like, all right, I'm going out. I'm going out. So I went to go see Steve. Yes, at our friends at Moalabe. I went and saw Steve. As I'm, sitting there and Steve's like, he's doing this like whiskey tasting and they have all these different whiskeys and he's pouring me all these drinks. And I'm just like, okay, like this is a Tuesday night. And I'm like drinking. I kept myself, I got home by 11 o'clock. I wasn't home late, but I'm in this like gigantic smoke filled room. I wasn't going to smoke a cigar last night, but everybody was so smoky. I was like, okay, give me a cigar. So as I light this cigar, I'm following along on the one bet that I had left. I had the under in the game, and I had the best number, closed at 5.5. So I'm thinking, okay, so Rangers and the Kings late night hockey game. I've under 6. I'm like, okay, it's 4-2 going into the third period. It's 4-2 all the way with 5 minutes to go left. 5 minutes to go in the game. It's 4-2. I got to push. I'm like, just push. It closed at 5.5. We're at 4-2. Goal 4-3. Done. Okay. So that bet's dead. So I'm watching Jamal Murray. I have points, rebounds, and assists. Jamal Murray under 41.5. And we're like, the game's on the big screen at the bar, at this cigar bar downtown. And like, I'm just like staring, going like, you got to be kidding me. 3-pointer gets knocked down by Jamal Murray. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. At the buzzer, they're down by 7 points. Jamal Murray jacks a 3 at the buzzer. I'm like, no, hits back rim, misses it. It lands 41. I had under 41.5. So I win the last bet of the day. It's like birdieing the 18th hole after shooting 100. Like, it's just like, oh, okay, here we go. Like, this is great. I only lost a couple of units on the day instead of losing 4 or 4 plus. I just lost a couple. Fine. But like, I lost on Monday. I lost on Tuesday. It's just been like this like running thing. So I'm betting a game tonight. That was a long way of telling you the game I'm betting tonight. I'm betting a game tonight that I haven't seen either team play. Full disclosure. I haven't watched a single second of Richmond or Rhode Island basketball all year. Don't know a damn thing about it. What I'm doing is I'm going to bet a system that I did bet Arkansas last night, and I forget who asked me about that. I think that was you, Ish. You put me on the Arkansas game last night. Arkansas at home against Vandy, because it fit my system of team on the road, losing a conference game, come home, next game, conference game with a number that's below 4.5. 2.5, 3.5, 4.5. It was 1.5 Arkansas against Vanderbilt. They blew the living daylights out of Vandy at home. Calipari's team destroyed them. So I bet Arkansas minus 1.5. Tonight, I'm doing the same thing with Richmond. Richmond is coming off of they got killed at St. Louis against SLU last game out, lost by 25 points. They're 15-point dogs. They lost by 25. They're coming back home. They're 2.5-point home favorites against Rhode Island, who is 1-8-1 over their last 10 games against the spread. Rhode Island has been brutal since conference play began in the A10. I got Richmond at home. This number hasn't moved because no one's betting it but me. Nobody cares about this game but me. But I am taking Richmond laying 2.5 against Rhode Island tonight in the A10 as a straight system play. This just fits into my system. There aren't many games tonight that fit into this system. There's a lot of big numbers tonight in college basketball, a lot of ranked teams that are pretty big favorites, either on the road or at home. So there's not a lot of small numbers. This game does factor in. I'm taking Richmond minus 2.5 tonight up against I guess Rhode Island, URI here tonight in the A10. News of the industry. So we were waiting on this, and this happened yesterday. Massachusetts has finally dropped the hammer on Kalshi. They are banning Kalshi sports contracts ahead of the AFC Championship game on Sunday. This will take effect on Friday. The judge did give Kalshi some time between the ruling on Tuesday and Friday's implementing of this to get them. They can go to court today, go to court tomorrow, try to appeal, try to get a stay of this injunction. But if they do not, Massachusetts will be the first state to get a preliminary injunction against Kalshi to stop them from offering sport prediction market contracts in the state. Since really August, the prediction market people have been losing consistently in court, but Massachusetts was the one that went to state court. Everybody else has been going to everybody else has been going to federal court. They went to state court in Massachusetts and they got the injunction done. So now here's the question. What happens next? Because it could start a waterfall effect here where state after state after state, because there is finally a preliminary injunction against Kalshi that has stuck, that other states who have been eyeballing this are going to follow. And they're going to kick on and say, hey, Mass did it, we're doing it. Mass did it, we're doing it. And it just starts to go up and down because states like New York, New Jersey, Maryland are all eyeballing this and have all had their own individual court cases. Nevada will be right behind. My gut is like today, there's going to be something of a ruling or some type of suit being filed in Nevada to follow suit with Massachusetts on this. So there's just a lot of things going on right now. And yes, Butchie, you are right. Yep. You've been talking about this for a while, that Mass was going to be the one that did it. And Mass is the one that did it. And so now the question becomes, what happens next? What happens next? Because the prediction market people are claiming they're too big to fail. And they're claiming that they only have to listen to the CFTC. And so there's been this viral video that's going around from, I think it's CNBC, where the head of the prediction market, whatever they're calling themselves, they're, the Kalshi group, that they're all together, they're all fighting this, pushing back. And they're saying things that just don't make a lot of sense. Like, I didn't learn this, and I got to go find some more information about this. But the guy said that Polymarket does not have to listen to the CFTC because Polymarket is an international company, which seems to be ludicrous. If you operate in the United States, I don't really care where you're based. If you're operating in the United States, how do you not have to answer to the US government? That seems really like this whole prediction market thing is so ridiculous. Like it is crazy. Yeah, I agree, Butchie. Nevada's already written. Yeah, I agree. Like, they're just waiting. And so if it goes into effect on Friday, I think Nevada will follow suit. And then there's problems, right? Then Kalshi really gets into issues. But I just think it's such a weird time right now with all this, because we don't know who's responsible for what. We don't know who actually is in control of this market, of this betting system. We don't know who polices the wagers. And is insider trading okay, or is it not? Because it sounds like Polymarket says it is okay, while Kalshi's saying it's not okay, because if you say it's okay, everybody in the SEC is going to go, oh, good, let's go investigate. Because now we're going to hit you with insider trading laws, because that's not allowed. And it puts the CFTC into a tough spot, because they have to actually act like they care and they actually have to do their job. And that is problematic for anybody in the prediction market space. So it feels like we're running out of sand in the hourglass. Like we're getting down to the last couple of granules here, and we're going to have some real decisions made in the next maybe 6 to 12 months with all of this. But the wild, wild west nature of Kalshi and Polymarkets and all these other, prediction market spaces, whatever DraftKings and FanDuel are going to be doing, Fanatics and whatnot, like it just doesn't seem like this is going to be what we have going forward. It just feels like the states are finally getting the language they need to actually implement what they want, which is control, which is what I think they should have. I think the states should have control, because we have, set up our gambling system as a state-by-state situation, and this 50-state solution doesn't work. It's not right. It's not policed, and it's uncontrolled. And if you come up with a way of controlling it, if the CFTC wants to do their job, if the CFTC can tell me how they police everything, of all the thousands of transactions that are being made, of all the markets that are being created, then how are you preventing any type of insider trading or any type of, malfeasance going down, I have a hard time seeing it, because we know even with sports books who have a very, a tight control over the markets and who is betting and when are they betting and how the markets are being evaluated by third-party watchdogs, even they are missing stuff. So don't tell me that Polymarket, don't tell me that Kalshi is not missing stuff daily. Of course they are. They're missing things daily. So this is a great time to be somebody who's flying under the radar, who's trying to make money off these markets, because right now there is nobody paying attention. Mass, we'll see on Friday if it implements, but before Sunday, that's a huge impact to Kalshi's business. To lose that for Massachusetts with the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, not being able to operate in the state, is a monster story and a huge hit to Kalshi's business model. So let's see if it goes into place. It's supposed to on Friday. Let's see if it actually goes into place. Favorite thing about today. My favorite thing about today was the conversation that we just had with Brendan Fitzgerald. So today, I start teaching a brand new class at UNLV. I am teaching a sports broadcasting class here in 3 hours. I have taught at UNLV for 5.5 years. This is now going on my 6th year. I've taught an audio announcing class. The difference between audio announcing and sports broadcasting is in the name. For the first class, I'm talking to people that just want to do everything. Podcasting, social media, TV, radio, news. My job as the professor of 213 for audio announcing at UNLV is to get the kids comfortable on mic. So when they walk in, say they're at like a 4, I'm supposed to have them walk out at like a 9, where they're confident, they think they can do it, they know they can do it. I'm teaching a 375, a 300 level class now. It's all juniors and seniors. These are people that want to work in the media. These are people that are professionals, that want to be, or not are, want to be professionals. Brendan's an unbelievable story. And if you don't know his story, he worked in Massachusetts. I mean, his name's Brendan Fitzgerald. I mean, he's a guy from my neck of the woods in Boston. He's lived here in Nevada. Our kids went to the same school for a while. I used to see him at drop off all the time. And so, being in Nevada, being in Vegas, you tend to meet a lot of people in the UFC. That's why I'm friends with John Anik. I'm friends with Megan O'Leary. I'm friends with Brendan. And watching his growth as a guy who was a TV reporter for the Fox affiliate in Boston, sports guy, to become a play-by-play broadcaster for the UFC and to rise in the company in which he has risen is an unbelievable, awesome story to tell my students. I cannot wait to tell them the story of him. But now he's branching out. He's doing it in his own way. That's why I wanted to start the conversation. If you didn't watch it, didn't see it, go back and watch it, because he talks about his music. And he's creating, I think it takes massive balls to do this, to actually go and have the courage to sing to fight fans who are notoriously trolls and nasty people, like just notoriously dickheads. And you're going to sing about fighting and fighters. And you better be good, because if you're bad, they're going to tell you really quick. So it's an awesome story of courage. It's an awesome story of resiliency and saying, you know what, I'm going to do different things. I'm covering the Patriots. I'm covering the Celtics. This is all fine and good, but I'm going to pivot and I'm going to go be a play-by-play broadcaster for the UFC. And I'm going to move my family to Nevada. I'm going to call these fights. I'm going to do the Contender Series. I'm going to do all these things. And now I'm going to move to Texas. I'm going to be part of what's happening in the growth there, but I'm going to play country music, broadcast fights. Just very, very cool. I just think that his story, my favorite thing about today, not just the fact that we start teaching this class at UNLV, this sports broadcasting class. Brendan's going to talk to the class hopefully at some point during the year, but his story, I love Brendan Fitzgerald's story. If you don't follow him, go search him on Instagram. It's tremendous. I think it's at Brendan Fitz TV on Instagram as well as Twitter, but he does a ton on Instagram and he's worth the follow, and he's a really good guy. There aren't many, for whatever reason, the UFC has got really good people. They just hire really good people. Anik is one of my favorite people in broadcasting. Megan O'Leary is my favorite sidelines reporter, or whatever you want to call her, broadcaster, podcaster. Megan is just, she's had an unbelievable career. Her and her husband, Joe, couldn't be the nicest of people. Former fighter in Joseph Benavidez just had their first kid about 6 months ago. They're just awesome people. I think it's the same Sonic. I think I think it's the same Brendan Fitz TV on Instagram as well. Thank you for putting that up. But and then Brendan as well. So favorite thing about today is I love people with unbelievable stories. I love people with passion. I love people that you can hold up as examples to young broadcasters and say, see, it's not linear. Your career is not going to be linear. Your career is not going to be A, B, C, D. Your career is going to be A, F, W, Y, A, B, C. Like, it's going to be a mess. Mine was a mess. my career was not linear by any means. And so more examples of that, because I think you have to be that way. In today's broadcasting media world, you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to be malleable. Got to be able to move around and do different things. So favorite thing about today, Brendan Fitzgerald. Great interview. Thank you for him coming on. Tomorrow, Bet Chris, Arizona Thursday. Where in the world is Adam Bjorn? I have no idea. I think he's in Barcelona. I think. But he might not be. He might not be in Barcelona. That's where the ICE conference, not that type of ICE, the ICE conference, the gambling conference is in Barcelona. So he may still be there, but he may be back. So I don't know. So we'll find out where he is tomorrow. AFC, NFC championship game. We'll go through all of it tomorrow and preview UFC 324 from a betting perspective with Adam Bjorn of Bet Chris Arizona tomorrow on a Thursday. It's Bostonian versus